My latest project is building a controller for my pool, or my pool motor, to cycle it on and off only when it's warmer outside, or at least control cycling it on and off to optimize it so that it circulates when it's warmer and keeps the water still when it's cooler. To do that, I have an Arduino Pro Mini, a ESP8266 wireless module, and a real-time clock. This allows me to wirelessly control it. This keeps the time so I can set timers. Obviously that's the controls is all done with the Arduino over here. I have 3 temperature sensors that'll go up and down the sides of the pool. So if the top of the water is warmer from the sun and the bottom is cooler in the bottom, it'll kick the pump on for 15 minutes, half hour, whatever I set it to. So it'll have timed intervals for temperature and timed intervals for just a timer-based running. And last but not least, I'd like it when there's a cold day to maybe not kick on the timer settings and run. Honestly, I wasn't going to make a video for this, but as I was cutting out the enclosure that I'm making on my scroll saw, which is basically, see here, that board that contains most of the components will go right here. Then the enclosure will be like this with a plexiglass. There'll be 3 buttons on it that will cycle it from modes that are auto, timed, manual. Then this will, the yellow button will do 15-minute increments on the timer, and the green one will do 2-hour increments to the timer. The display is the small display here. Let's see if we can just short one of the buttons so I'll show how the timer goes. What is this? Non-conductive. Alright, that one's, I changed the mode to stop. Manual, auto, okay. I'll put 2 hours on it. So it's got 2 hours. Now that indicator indicates that the pump is running. There's our current time. And that actually will control setting that kicks off this. Here's where I'm at with my pool controller enclosure for the brains of the operation. It'll be mounted in here. These are my 2 3/4 inch plywood, 1/8 inch plywood on the back. I soaked it real good with shellac, letting that dry. I'm going to sand the outside. Probably spray paint it with something, some enamel type paint. The outside, the inside will stay as it is. This is the insert. The buttons go in there like that. I gotta solder on my wires yet. Anytime you have metal and plastic threads, pretty easy to cross thread things. That will go in the front cover like this. Essentially, just go like this. Alright. Have my front panel all put together. Unit here. For initial testing, I'm just going to use a Cat 5 cable stripped back. So I need a certain number of pairs to make this all work. I'm not sure if I can do this without disconnecting everything. And I made it so that this all does disconnect. But I have to kind of screw things down before putting it in. We got our screwed in. Now we're going to just screw it into the standoff. I need to remove the wireless transceiver to get at that screw. I'll probably just put 2 in for now. Guess I could have started that. Okay, so here we have it. Not sure if it's focused that well, hard to tell. This here cycles through the modes. Right now it says manual there. At that, now it's auto. That's where it would automatically go on if one of the temperature sensors reaches a threshold. So like if I put my finger on the top one here, you'll see the top temperature on the right hand side will start to go up. Which, take a few samples. Oh, I must be heating them all up, darn it. Oh, apparently that's the bottom one, not the top one. You see the bottom one went up to 78, so we'll let that cool down. Because right now I have it set, like if the top temperature is 5 degrees warmer than the bottom one, so that won't do anything for us. But in auto mode we also can just hit a button and that'll activate the relay for 15 minutes now. This button will throw 2 hours on. So like if you shocked your pool, you'd hit that. You'd give yourself make the thing run for a while. Anytime you cycle modes, it clears the timer. Right. Well, after a bit of testing, I found that this definitely at 3 volts doesn't switch on, even though it says so. Now, maybe that's a current thing. Maybe if I looked at the specs, it isn't 3 volts. It's maybe higher than 3. The power regulator with the resistors I had on hand came out to 3.1 volts, which seems to be fine to power everything, but not quite good enough to power that relay. So, I'll just power things on here. Ended up having to delay starting the program until after the ESP is loaded and live, otherwise it gets into a garbage loop on the serial interface. So, first things first, I'm going to just do a demonstration of the temperature threshold again. One of the things with the temperature setting is it will not trigger the temperature run if it's ran within the last 15 minutes. So we'll just warm up one of them here. 72, and there, we triggered it. By the way, I have it hooked to the lamp right now. You can see that the light lit there and a light lit. I'm going to just toggle to a different mode so it shuts off. We'll go to manual, hit the button, light comes on, light goes off. I also can telnet to the ESP, control all the functions from here, plus from the ESP telnet session I can set the timers, the temperature thresholds, and the intervals for each trigger event, for how long it runs and how long between each event. So a lot of the time we'll probably just have it in auto mode with a few timers set, a temperature trigger if it gets real warm or cold, and if we shock the pool, we'll just hit the button. That'll give us 2 hours or 15-minute increments. A little more detail here. I rigged it up with a NPN transistor to switch 5 volts to the relay to get it to work. Continuing to work here. This is the cover for my box. I spray painted it black. My step up for my 5 volt trigger to trigger the relay that didn't work at 3 volts. I've soldered into a small board, so I'll try and install on the side of the box somewhere, or I don't know, maybe I'll just be lazy and let it hang in there wherever. The relay portion I managed to fit inside of an old timer. Well, it's not exactly watertight. It's structured in a way that it shouldn't get wet from rain, so it should work nicely. Here's the sensor strip, basically 3 Dallas temperature sensors. I forget the part number offhand, but I can look that up later. The bottom one, the middle one, and the top one. These two will measure water temp, top and bottom, and this will be the air temp sticking out from the pool a little bit. So I'm just going to stick them on with some two-sided sticky tape and have these pressed against. This one's held apart. Here's the finished controller mounted on my pool. As you can see along the pole, I have the strip that has the sensors on it. This one, the first sensor is here against the pool on top, then there's one exposed to the air in the middle, then on the bottom there's one against the pool again. It's probably too bright now. I might have to come back later. In the end, everything I mounted inside this old timer controller. Emptied out the box. Basically I have the relay right here. Then inside there also I have the power supply. That just comes out through here for just the control wires and the power to the controller box. Here's the controller on the side of the pool here. I simplified operations. I had multiple modes that kind of were unnecessary. Now it just has auto and manual. Auto, it runs on the timed events or temperature events. Honestly, I've eliminated the timed events because the temperature part of it's been working so well. Kicks on when the top of the water is hot. Kicks on when the air temperature is real hot. Doesn't kick on when it's cold. Works perfectly with timed intervals. You can hit this to add 15 minutes to the clock. You jump in, you can do a couple times and the pool will run for half hour. Cycle it and it clears the clock. You shock the pool, you hit this one, got 2 hours. Manual, you're cleaning it or doing whatever. Either one of these two buttons just turns it on and off. Simple, quick and easy. So that's my pool controller. Thanks for watching.